You can always add restrictions to this. You can always add restrictions to
You can always change it, but right now it stands as it stands.
No,
one person, well, if they challenge it, they can.
The law gets refined over time. If we decide that we need to be harsher or looser, then the Supreme Court and all the other courts can make their rulings that way and influence the general public. So basically, we can decide, is it something that we want to have or not? If it's something that we don't want to have because it's dangerous, then maybe over time it will gradually evolve into something we can accept.
And what does the government gain from spying on you?
What has any government gained in the past as they made the slide from democracy? We see it all around the world. The government's making the slide from democracy to totalitarianism. Russia, where they slowly start infringing upon people's rights. I'm not saying that the United States is going to go that far, but I'm saying what it does provide is a slippery slope where maybe over generations, hundreds of years, whereas we accept more and more of the government's intrusion into our life, and as our rights are slowly stripped from us, we accept it more and more and more. And over generations, maybe even hundreds of years, things can radically change.
But this is different from the past. It's the 21st century. We didn't have to worry about terrorists way back.
Yeah, well, right, we had to worry about Hitler's way back. It was completely different.
Right, so we went to war. We're at war.
But
we need something to protect.
The thing is, and it comes down to, is that do you believe that our rights are something that we should be willing to die for? And what this clearly provides is that question.
It hasn't even reached that point.
I know.
Is it?
No, it's not even, it hasn't even turned into anarchy or totalitarian.
But that's what I'm saying is that it provides the framework to happen. How? Because, okay, let's talk about it. If our founding fathers believed that the government was trustworthy, and they believe that we should trust our leaders blindly, why do we have a constitution in the first place? Answer me that.
We don't trust our leaders blindly.
Okay, then why should we trust them? Why should we trust them at all? If we can trust our leaders.
So what are you suggesting? Anarchy?
Promoting anarchy.
I'm saying, listen, people. I'm saying let's fight terrorism and let's do it. Let's send the military wherever it's got to go. Great, good job. But what I'm saying is that at home, should we be willing to take away our rights? And I think you guys are underestimating. One section gives the government to seize any tangible objects with an authorized terrorist investigation. Any tangible objects. That gives them more or less a wide check to go into anyone's life and take anything that they want. Do you support the government having the authority to go into your life? Not even tell you. Not even tell you.
I don't have nothing to hide.
Not even tell you that. But do you want the government?
They're not going to just take it, and they're not going to take it.
It's happening to other people. It's happening to other people. It is happening.
You get a better iPhone.
Would you support the government?
Who's it happening to?
I don't know. That's the scary thing, isn't it? We don't even know who it's happening to.
It's like I said, it's a small minority. It's only foreign citizens.
You said, quote, let the military go wherever. That's great. But what about the terrorists at home that could attack? Yeah, September.
I'm not saying the government should not. I think the government should allocate more resources to investigate these things.
How?
But at the point where they start infringing on our rights and violating the Constitution,
how will they investigate?
How else are they supposed to do it?
Get more police officers, get more detectives, get more people looking into these things.
Who will do what?
Who will do what?
What will police officers do? They'll investigate.
They'll investigate just
How
like
are they supposed to investigate?
So then they'll infringe upon your rights.
How
can you do it without infringing upon your rights?
People do it all the time in our criminal justice system.
Right.
You go to court, you get a warrant.
So you support that you should encroach upon rights of criminals, but not upon the acts of terrorists.
There's a clearly defined way of going to a court, getting a warrant, which you can go into investigation.
Would Osama bin Laden go to a court and fight, or would he just pick up a gun and shoot the judge?
Osama bin Laden isn't going to go to court and shoot the judge.
Exactly. He won't go to court. They're terrorists. They're not
Which
just
is why when you
civilized
see
citizens.
him, you would detain him.
By the time you get a warrant,
But you didn't want that. That's infringing on his rights.
That's infringing upon his
You
rights.
guys are trying to skew the line. I'm not saying that terrorists should never have their rights violated under any circumstances whatsoever. I'm saying that we have a clearly defined way of detaining people and bringing them into justice that allows the courts to oversee this process as it's happening.
How will the government know which people, though?
It investigates. How do we know who the murderers are? We investigate. How do we know?
So what does the Patriot Act do? It investigates those people.
But it investigates in a way that is never done before. For example,
Actually, the Sedition Act of 1918.
And guess what? It was repealed the next year. And
in 1921, actually, not next year.
But no, you're talking about the one passed under Woodrow Wilson. The Sedition and Alien Acts were actually repealed once the Republicans got a hold of Congress.
That was in 1921, though. Not
you're talking
in
about Woodrow
1919.
Wilson's Espionage
Not in
Act.
1919.
You're talking about Woodrow Wilson's Espionage Act.
So those were.
Do you think that it's okay to search people in airport security?
Yes.
Do you think that it's okay to put a tap on everyone who uses a phone?
No.
Why is it okay that you invade the privacy of everyone that uses an airplane?
Because the thing is that, for one, you can do that because the thing is you're facing sanctions. If you want to use the plane, you have to accept it. Because the government has a huge part in regulating it.
And the government can't say if you want to live in America, you can't kill American people?
It's not saying that. What it's saying is that if you're living in America, we're going to respect your rights and respect your freedom.
Yeah, if a non-citizen and a terrorist kill him.
No, I'm not saying that in either way.
What are you
But I'm
saying?
saying there's completely different scenarios because for one, you're talking about domestic situations, and then the other, you're talking about non-citizens, you're dealing with foreign policy.
Really?
War.
So there aren't any immigrants in the United States right now?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying once you hand it over to domestic authorities, it's a completely different
So
situation.
is this not an
if they're on the
domestic authority?
battlefield, if they're on the battlefield in war, it's a completely different thing.
The USA PATRIOT ACT doesn't apply to Afghanistan. It applies
That's
to
what I'm
America.
saying. That's why it's a completely different thing. As in, you could kill someone on the battlefield if they're coming up against you. Go ahead and shoot them. But if you're at home, don't violate their rights.
It doesn't
Yeah, but
matter. They cares.
what if they are? What if they are?
Normal criminal investigations, you investigate people that are just suspects, and then you discard them, right?
Everyone's thought of as innocent until we can prove their guilt.
But when you violate their rights and get into their lives, you're assuming that they're guilty before you realize that they're actually guilty.
But is that not?
But let me ask you the question.
Criminal investigations aren't suspects assumed to be
Let me ask you the
related
question.
to the crime?
Let me ask you the question. Why, if the founding fathers believe that terrorists are criminals, why do you think if they believe that we could strip their rights from them as soon as we believe that, why didn't they add an indent on the Bill of Rights saying, oh, these don't apply if it's a terrorist or a
Because
criminal?
the word terrorist did not exist.
Yeah.
Okay, criminal.
Terrorist.
Why did they not? Why did they not add it?
The
Why did they not add it?
Is outdated. It's old. We need to add some new stuff. I mean,
Then let's go through that.
about protection of criminals.
Let's do that in the
because
prescribed way of doing it.
It was too easy to falsely convict someone. With our new criminalistics, we don't need as much privacy. If you're a good person,
Well, once you have that
don't need
criminal,
as much privacy. It
No.
doesn't matter.
once you have that
You're a
criminal,
good person. You don't have anything to hide. It's the fact that you're violating.
once you have that criminal,
Why? Who cares
listen,
about violating the rights of
listen,
criminals?
listen.
We don't.
Once
we're
you
not
have that, all
nearly
that
as
technology, once you have all that technology and all that science saying, hey, he did it, go ahead, get the warrant, go after him, send him to jail, execute him,
How are
whatever
we
you
supposed to
want.
start that though? We can make it more broad now because it's a more refined process.
There are plenty of ways to investigate a person without snooping in their house and going through their stuff without even telling them, without a warrant, without any.
What if that's where the stuff is?
Okay, first of all, in the Constitution there is no right to privacy. It does not say anywhere in the Constitution
Okay,
the
but
word
it
privacy.
doesn't, that is
But,
completely
okay.
irrelevant because the Supreme Court, I disagree with you on that, but the Supreme Court has ruled that there is. So let's not even take the debate there.
Okay, but what I'm saying is what the Fourth Amendment says is unreasonable searches, right?
Mm-hmm.
These
So-
are all reasonable.
Yeah.
Under what, you think going to someone's house and snooping through
If
their
they're
stuff, that's
suspected of terrorist
reasonable?
activity, yes.
If they're,
Otherwise, you wouldn't have a house. This would be blown up.
I could suspect,
What is the government gonna do? Why would they search me for terrorists then?
And your children would be in.
So they come, they look at my stuff, they see I don't have a phone.
I'm a police
I don't
officer and I
care.
suspect you're a murderer, but I don't have any hard evidence. Does that mean I'm gonna like go into your house, tear the place up looking for evidence? No.
Yeah,
Your suspicions
that's what they
mean
do.
nothing.
That's what they do.
And once they have a warrant, that's what they do. It's called probable cause.
Yeah, but we're talking about terrorism here, and we need speed to deal with
And
terrorism.
it is probable
We
cause.
don't need speed because there is no clear.
If we don't have speed, what's the point in investigating something after it's blown up? Let's investigate after it's blown up.
Like, you don't support prevention of anything?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I support prevention within the means of the law, and that means it's through the Constitution.
We are too protective of criminals now for the advancement
That's
of
what
our
people
technology.
argue.
But searches without warrants are in the law. They happen all the
Searches,
time.
but those are called reasonable searches. Going into someone's houses is clearly protected against that.
If
It's
that house
clearly an unreasonable
contains
search.
explosives, that could blow down like
Still,
in 1994.
who decides what's reasonable? I mean, it's always been
Uh,
yeah, okay. What
If they
if
wanna go-
we appoint? What if we make judges FBI agents then?
If they want to go to the judge, and if they, I don't care if they have just a little bit of suspicion. If they go to the judge and the judge says, okay, I'm going to disagree
We
with the
don't
judge's
have
opinion.
time for that with terrorist
How long does it
activities.
take? You go to a judge, it takes half an hour, you tell him what evidence you have, and he
Do you have any
signs
idea how
the
the legal
warrant.
system works? It takes too long.
Let me get the thing. It specifically mentions the FISA court, which specifically was designed for this type of things. FISA stands for the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Administration. And it was specifically designed for the federal government to be able to go in there, quickly get these warrants, and go. That was the exact reason the FISA court was created. And then also we have this Patriot Act that completely gets rid of that and says, hey, we're going to go and search anyone wherever we want. There was already a system in place that was
using it
able to deal with these things.
Explicitly for terrorism.
Read it. There was a system in place to deal with these things that was perfectly
And it
legal
was
with the
too
Constitution.
slow.
No, it wasn't, because it was designed exactly for that reason. Because it was designed to deal with drug dealers, when the evidence might disappear at any second.
Drug dealers and terrorism are not the same thing.
If you're talking about time, they are, because the evidence could disappear at any second with a drug dealer. Okay. So the thing is that this provided the adequate framework for them to get that warrant as soon as they can. If they go to the judge in the FISA court, they have the evidence, they have exactly what they're saying, the judge is going to sign them the warrant.
That time might be too much. And they aren't being unreasonable in searching people.
So what
it's always going to come down to a judgment call.
You say that we can't even take 5 minutes aside to stop and consider things.
It's going to be more than 5 minutes.